Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Take Control of Your Bills webinar. Excited to have you all here today. And I just want to introduce myself. My name is Josh, and I work with the Victorian Government in the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, and located within the Hume region. Just wanted to check, can everyone in Benalla hear us all okay? A few people in person, fantastic, and hope everyone who is following online is doing likewise. Feel free if anything's not quite working, you pop it in the chat or anything like that, and we'll promptly try to fix that. So I wanted to just talk a bit more about DEECA Hume. So that covers a pretty large region, northeast of Victoria, down the Goulburn Valley Way. And so for this webinar, what we'll be doing is you'll hear DEECA. If you haven't heard the word DEECA before, it's just an acronym for the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action. But to save us some time, we'll be referring to ourselves as DEECA. And before we get to further the details, wanting to just acknowledge the First Peoples of the land to which we are operating from. So for myself, I live and work in Yorta Yorta country, and I pay my respects to elders past and present, and to all Aboriginal peoples who may be joining us online or in person in Benalla. If you are calling online, or feel free to include any Aboriginal country that you may be calling from, or you may largely operate in. Happy to get a bit of a sense from where people are at. And just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. So we hope holistically for tonight that you'll be taking on some simple tips and tricks, reducing your energy bills. And by the end of this webinar, we hope that you'll be able to find ways to save money on your energy bills, feel warmer in your home. If you're anything like my house, we had a particularly frosty night last night and morning. So hopefully some of these things will help with that. And hopefully you can keep lots of simple ways to heat your home and keep it warm without impacting your energy bill as intensely as maybe it has been in the past. So before we get on further, the slides from tonight are going to be shared in a follow-up email for everyone who's registered and attended. And so that will be made available in case you're wondering. And the questions for tonight, I encourage you to, we're going to do a Q&A at the end rather than after each presentation. So you can either write them down on a note and put them in the chat later on when we let you know, or if you want to put in the question as we go, feel free to pop that in the chat and then we'll revisit those questions at the end after all the presenters have presented, and we can hear from different presenters speaking to those questions. So for now, I want to pass you over to my colleague Georgie, who's going to also introduce some of the presenters and for us to be kicking off. Thanks, Georgie.
Great, thanks, Josh. Hi, everyone. My name is Georgie and I also work for DEECA. So tonight our first speaker will be Lindsey from Sustainability Victoria, and she will give us a lot of energy saving tips. Next, we'll hear from Jason from Wangaratta Landcare and Sustainability Group, who will dive deeper into some key energy saving tips. And then finally, we'll hear from Ella from DEECA, talking about how to claim rebates or cash back from the Victorian Government for energy efficiency upgrades in your home. And as Josh said, we'll have 10 minutes at the end to cover any questions. So for now, I'll pass to Lindsey, our first presenter.
Thank you, Georgie and Josh, for that intro, and great to be here tonight. I'd like to acknowledge as well that I'm presenting from the Wurundjeri land this evening. So if we could just go to the next slide, please, Georgie. So tonight I'll just give a brief overview of the State of Sustainability report that was completed recently by Sustainability Victoria. So in this report, we did research across all of Victoria and localised it into the different regions. So tonight I'll just read some stats about Ovens Murray in our region. So what we found was that 46% of people found that their home was too hot last summer, 36% of people found that their home was too cold last winter, and then 20% of people had to leave their homes because of extreme heat or cold. Next slide, please, Georgie. And then when it comes to energy efficiency within our homes, we found that about 25 or about a quarter of homes were low or had no energy efficiency. About half of our homes had moderate energy efficiency, and then a quarter again had acceptable energy efficiency. And so what this means really is that our appliances are generally not very energy efficiency, and the way our homes are wrapped, so our insulation and our glazing aren't up to spec. So we're having to spend a lot more money on heating and cooling in summer and winter. Next slide, please. So these are just the average running costs. As you can see up the top there, heating is a major cost, about 43% of the overall consumption in your home, and that means that in winter everyone's electricity bills go up quite significantly. And then there's water heating is next, then fridges and freezers, home entertainment, cooking, lighting, cooling, clothes washers and dryers, dishwashers and computers. Next slide, please. Thanks. And so now I'll just go through some simple tips that will help you save money right now without you having to purchase anything new. So a really easy thing if you have an air conditioner is just to pop that top off and take those filters that are on your air conditioner off and give them a wipe down or run them under cold water. They get pretty dirty. You should clean them every 6 to 12 months, and that will just help it run better and more efficiently. Clean your windows. This might sound really simple, but the dirtier your windows are, the less light is coming into your home. And in winter, that makes a huge difference, especially if you happen to have a north-facing lounge room or bedrooms. Then if you open those windows up during the day, let it in, be like that cute dog in the photo, lie down, soak up that sun. But most importantly, it's just easy passive heating for your home during the day, which will save you money on heating. And then a simple one, if you have a pension or healthcare card, check if you're eligible for a discount. Most electricity or energy suppliers provide about a 17% rebate if you have those cards. And then check if your electricity retailer has a daytime saver rate. If this is the case, then you can try, I think, I've forgotten the exact time frame, but it means you have a cheaper rate between about 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And then if you run appliances during the day, such as your washing machine or your dishwasher, if you can schedule those to occur during the day, you'll save money on those running costs. The other thing to do is just to compare your energy prices regularly. So you can use the Compare Energy Vic website. And again, compare the price every 6 to 12 months. They're always changing. If you find a retailer that's cheaper, it's always a good idea to give your current one a call and see if they'll match the price or give you a better deal so that you don't necessarily have to change. It's just about making sure you're on the best deal for yourself. Next slide, please. So a simple one is just turning off your appliances and electronics when they're not in use. So this will help you just reduce that base load of electricity or energy consumption. Wash your clothes in cold water. This was ingrained heavily into me when I was growing up. My mum was a textiles teacher, so she always told me, wash your clothes in cold water because it reduces the fabric breaking down, but also it means that you're saving money because you're not heating water for each wash. And then also only put a wash on when the washing machine is full to save electricity that way as well. And then if you have a clothesline, hang your clothes out in the sun. It's free drying energy. It was a crisp, sunny day today, as Josh mentioned, but your clothes will dry in that. They might not dry all the way, so you could always hang them out during the day, bring them in at night to dry on a rack or dry if they need that extra touch. Set your thermostat or your air conditioner to 18 to 20 degrees in winter or 24 to 26 degrees in summer. Every degree that you go up in winter or down in summer adds about 10% or more to your electricity bill. So it's a significant cost savings there. Really simple one, just put frozen food into the fridge to thaw out in the morning rather than cooking with it straight from frozen. It'll just save a bit of energy consumption there and time when you're cooking as well. And use the economy cycle on your dishwasher. And again, like your washing machine, only put it on when it's full to save electricity and water consumption there. Again, this is just the number one thing that's been instilled in me from when I was young, from my mum. Wear the right fabrics. So if you're rugging up because you're setting that thermostat to under 20 degrees, we had a strict heating not above 19 degrees rule in our household growing up. Wear woolen jumpers or merino thermals. They'll keep your body regulated and much warmer than if you're wearing cotton. Cotton actually draws heat away from your body, so great in summer, terrible in winter. And wear thick woolen socks or slippers just to keep your feet warm when you're walking around as well. Install heavy curtains and close them as the sun goes down. Windows are essentially a hole in the wall. They let a lot of heat out. So if you close your curtains as soon as that sun has gone down, then that keeps the heat in and stops it from escaping. Put a rug down over your floorboards. Again, sorry, your heavy curtains or rugs, you can get those quite easily from the op shop, as well as woolen socks and jumpers. But yeah, your floorboards they're drafty, so you lose a lot of heat through there, or a lot of cold air is coming in. So putting a rug down helps with that. If you have a ceiling fan or can purchase a ceiling fan, they're really great in winter if they have the reverse cycle option. It's just a slow speed and keeps the heat low because heat naturally rises, so it just keeps it lower and warmer for longer. Seal drafts and vents. Jason will go into more detail on these two tips. And then use a heated throw. Jason will also go into more detail on that. And then switch your lights to LED. LEDs are pretty widely available now. And then bedding, so what you're sleeping in. So if you can get a feather doona, down doona, they're highly insulating, light and really warm. And you can often get them on sale or secondhand. It is end of financial year at the moment as well, so there are lots of deals going around. And then a woolen underlay is a really good option as well. You can either get a thick kind of sheepskin, or if you just get a woolen blanket, again widely available at op shops, and put that down, and then your sheets on top of that. It just adds that extra thermal layer. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lindsey, for those clear energy savings tips so that we can start saving money tomorrow. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat, or if you're in the library, just write them down. So I'll now pass over to Jason, who will take us on a deep dive into a few key energy saving tips. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Georgie, and thank you, Lindsey, for that brilliant contextual introduction to a lot of the topics that I'm also going to cover. Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you from the Bangarang lands of the Bangarang people in Wangaratta. I'm quite heavily involved with the local Landcare group. I'm also the local scorecard rating person. And if you didn't know what that is, it's a Victorian government pioneered scheme to have a professional come into your home and professionally assess all your home, give it a star rating out of 10 stars, and it really gives you a lot of education on how efficient your house is and how costly it is to run. And also it's my job to sit down with you and give you a customized plan on what you can do to improve it. But aside from that, putting my professional hat down, my personal hat comes on. I've used my home as a bit of a project to upgrade over the years that I've had it. In 2019, I bought it, so it must be 5 years this year. I've just got an old weatherboard house, which you'll see, and I've done a lot of easy upgrades myself, and of course some pretty upmarket ones as well, but we're looking at the easy ones. And the top ones here that we're going to look at tonight, the concept of using zoning, which is separating your unused rooms so you don't have to heat as much and it doesn't cost you as much. Looking at draft sealing and covering bare vents, which is a no-brainer. And then we're going to look at the concept of contact heating instead of space heating. And then, of course, you could get a professional assessment. So next slide, please. So just a quick have a look at my home. Here's some efficient add-ons that I've done. A lot of these are pretty major upgrades over the time that I've had it. We're not going to look at those, but I'm just going to give you an example of some context around how efficient my home is. It's just an average 3-bedroom home, 80 square meters, an old commission house. I've actually taken it fully electric. I've disconnected from gas, so I only get one energy bill, and that's an electricity bill. It's reasonably efficient. It could be better, but to do that would honestly take a lot of investment. So, you know, I've done what I think is a reasonable payback, and it's a lot of things that most people could do to their own homes. Next slide, please. And just proof is in the pudding. Here's my latest electricity bill from last month. In total, and this is, you know, I only get one bill, so I spent $112, and that's, you know, it was actually quite a cold May. I also, I'm not on the cheapest electricity plan. I support local. I'm with Indigo Power, so they're not for profit, and a lot of the proceeds go back into the community. And I also pay a premium for 100% green energy. So at $112 for the month, it's pretty damn good. And you can see my average daily usage of 8.22 kilowatt hours is less than a average one-person home. So doing pretty good, and it could be a whole lot better. Next slide. So how do I get it good? I practice things like zoning. And zoning comes down to asking the question of where do you spend most of your time while you're at home? Now, I work from home. I also have a young family. I've got a 9-month-old little boy. So, you know, my wife spends a lot of time at home. So we need to have a warm home, but the whole home doesn't need to be warm. So we only heat where we are for the majority of the day. And that's what we're calling zoning. And for most people, including myself, it's places like your kitchen, your living area, or your dining area. And it might be a study or office if you work from home like I do. Definitely not your bedroom. So as soon as we get up in the morning, my bedroom doesn't get heated, nor do I heat it during the day. The door stays closed. You know, the only time I'm in my bedroom is either to get dressed or sleep. So there's absolutely no need to heat it. And because I can apply zoning, I can close the door and save a lot of money because I'm not heating that room. Next slide, please. So if we have a look at, here's the floor plan for my house. So it's quite unique, and there's probably a few houses like this. So in the olden days, the open plan living wasn't a thing. I mean, zoning is really hard to do in new modern houses, but in older ones like mine, it's very easy because every room is a room with a door. So it's really handy. So in my case, I only heat the living room, the top bedroom, because actually the only reason I do that is because that's where I had to position a heater, and that heater heats the rest of the house. So the hall and the kitchen, and all other doors remain closed, and especially keep the bathroom closed because I've got a couple of exhaust fans in there, and they are really, really bad for letting valuable heat energy up into the ceiling and out into the atmosphere. And I also have an unsealed window, which is very drafty. So making sure that bathroom door remains closed at all times, which can be challenging with a 5-year-old ripping in and out. So yeah, if you click through, you've got some highlights here. If the presenter can click through. So it's just an example of, these are the rooms that I'm heating, and I'm isolating those 3 rooms. So effectively almost half of the house I'm not heating. So if you were to look at, in comparison, it's at least 50% 40% energy savings just by zoning off, the house, or at least 40% in this case, because I have a hallway that needs to be heated. So yeah, big energy savings just by practicing closing doors, closing off where you don't need heat to go. Next slide, please. So the next one is draft sealing. So what is draft sealing? It's the concept of just sealing any gaps and cracks to reduce the amount of heat loss. Quite often you'll see if during the day and you've got your doors closed, for instance, and you can see light underneath it or around it, that's where a draft is going to be. So you need to seal that. So as I said, examples are under and around doors. You've got plenty of exhaust fans. Sometimes they're in the kitchen, definitely in the bathroom. Windows, especially if you've got old timber windows like I do, they're very drafty. Wall vents, I used to have wall vents throughout my house. I actually got them professionally removed and plastered over, so I don't have them, but a lot of places do have them. And then sometimes you'll have ceiling vents, and these could be, so your evaporative air conditioner vents, if they're remaining uncovered, or yeah, it's most of the time it's that. Sometimes there's vents into the ceiling in the kitchen instead of fans. I know I had one of those which I removed. But you're just looking for any way that hot air can escape up into the ceiling. So here's some examples of common ways to draft seal your door. Obviously, you've seen the top middle image is a classic slide under the door snake sort of thing. I use one of those for the bathroom, and it's really, really good, and my daughter's room. There's some bolt-on varieties you can get from Bunnings. They're super cheap, like starting at like $15 going up to, well, pricey ones go up to $80. But yeah, they all have a purpose. And then on the bottom left corner there, that's the hardcore next step, which I actually would like to do, and that's a full seal around the door, so your door closes against the seal, and that's the Rolls-Royce solution, which I'm yet to do. I'm just using some foam strip at the moment, and it's could definitely be improved. Next slide, please. So here's some examples of draft sealing some windows. Look, a classic door snake on the far right there. That's a great way. That's cheap. You're gonna, you can get door snakes from the dollar store from the reject shop for a couple of bucks. You can cut them down to size or just stuff them in. You can fill your house with door snakes, and that will fill your windows with door snakes, and that will greatly reduce the amount of draft through the gaps between the panes. And then you can go to the next extent, and any windows that can be totally sealed, seal them off. Me personally, I've got a few windows that I never open and never want to have open, so I have actually gone and glued them shut and sealed off all the gaps. And that's a great thing to do if possible. Otherwise, there are some temporary options like some putty you can push in down in the bottom there. Next slide, please. And then the good old vents. So I'm sure everyone's seen a wall vent, or they've probably even got them. So, and they're bad news. That's money just leaking out of your house right there. So you can be as simple as go to Bunnings and get some double-sided tape and just stick, you've got your reusable Woolies bags, not the paper variety, the plastic ones. They're quite a decent thick plastic. You can cut out a square and then just double-side tape on there. It's totally temporary. You can pull it off later on if you want. Or you can go, like I buy a lot of stuff and it comes in some really thick clear plastic bags. You can see in the middle, that's my workbench, and I've cut out a square piece of clear plastic, so it's almost impossible to see. And I've shoved it inside one of my vents in my ceiling for winter, because I don't use it. It's a transfer fan and I don't use it. So just sealing that up like that. And then over on the right there, you've got the classic evaporative cooler vent covers that the VEU, you can get as part of VEU, and you can also buy them from hardware stores as well. And they've got a nice rubber seal, and they cinch up against your ceiling to provide a seal, so you're stopping air from going back into the vents themselves, because once the hot air is up there, your vent still the actual vent itself, the vent ducting does transfer heat to the atmosphere. And with the older evaporative cooling units, they don't have a backstop, so it actually ends up venting out to the atmosphere anyway, which is even worse. So it's really important to shut off those vents in wintertime. Next slide, please. And the last one is contact heating. So, space heating, so using a gas heater or reverse cycle air conditioner, whatever it is, to heat a physical space takes a lot of energy, and it is not that efficient no matter what device you're using. But contact heating, like direct heating applied to your body, doesn't use a lot of energy, and it is extremely efficient. For example, a room heater. So say you had an electric heater heating your lounge room. I've got a reverse cycle air conditioner, which is they're very efficient, but it'll still use like 800 plus watts of energy when it's cranking it out. And then your tiny little heaters that you buy from Big W, they normally use 2000 watts. And it can take many minutes, and that's like it's going to take half an hour at least, sometimes hours. Like in the cold of the morning when I turn my efficient unit on, it takes 2 hours to get up to temperature. So 2 hours running at 800 watts, that's a lot. It's 1.6 kilowatt hours. So that's a lot of energy just to heat the space. However, if I was to sit on the couch and use a heated throw for $40 from Big W or Kmart, on their max output, they're using 120 watts, and I'm toasty warm in less than 5 minutes. So it's a fraction of the energy and a fraction of the time to get to become extremely comfortable. So that's the difference. Now sometimes it's not as practical because you can't. It's difficult to move around with a heated throw strapped to you with a long extension cable. So it's horses for courses, but use it. Say if you are sitting in your home office or sitting in front of the television all day, a heated throw is a great way to stay warm and far more efficient and far more effective than running a gas heater or running a space heater trying to heat the actual room itself. Next slide, please. And then you've got some great appliances, and look, there's probably a whole heap more that I don't know about. But you've got the classic heated throw on the left. There's a heated foot warmer that you can buy, and that's an image from Target apparently. And then of course for bed at night time, which I've been using ever since moving back to Victoria in 2017, your heated blanket, preheating the bed before I get in it. I only ever use it on the medium setting, and at medium setting it's using 60 watts of energy. That's as much as an old light bulb used to use. So it's just fractional amounts of energy, but giving just unparalleled level of comfort. Turning a reverse cycle air conditioner on or a space heater on in my bedroom is not going to heat my bed. There's no amount of heating. There's only way I can get it is through a hot water bottle, an electric blanket, or me physically being in there for about 15 minutes trying to heat it with my body heat. So contact heating is amazing, and it's cheap. Next slide. I actually think that's it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jason. It's interesting to see how many gaps we've got in our houses. So a lot of good tips there. Remember, if you've got any questions, to put them in the chat or write them down if you're in the library. And lastly, we have Ella from DEECA, who will talk about how to access rebates or cashback for upgrading your home's energy efficiency. Thank you, Ella.
Thanks for the introduction, and thank you, Josh, earlier for your acknowledgement of country. I'm coming to you today from Wurundjeri country. So yeah, like Georgie introduced, I'm Ella, and I'm presenting about the Victorian Energy Upgrades Program and how it can help you reduce your energy bills. Next slide, please. So for a quick bit of background, the VU program is a Victorian government initiative which helps Victorians upgrade their homes and businesses by offering discounts on energy efficient upgrades. So this helps reduce your energy usage, which also cuts your energy bills and reduces your greenhouse gas emissions. The program is also available to all Victorians, including renters. Next slide. So the VE program offers several discounts for households and businesses. I haven't listed them all here, but yeah, there's quite a few available. Some of the very low or no cost upgrades include installing an in-home energy monitor, low flow shower heads, and weather sealing. So these upgrades are typically free under the program. The program also offers discounts for electrification upgrades to help get your home off gas. So these upgrades include hot water systems and heating and cooling. These are a bit higher cost as there is some financial input required from the consumer. The VU program also offers discounts for homes heated with firewood only to install efficient electric air conditioners as well. So you can keep your existing wood heater, but yeah, get a discount on a new air conditioner and heater. The VU program also offers discounts for appliance upgrades, which includes clothes dryers, televisions, fridges and freezers. And these discounts are typically around $70 to $90. Next slide, thanks. So all Victorians are eligible to participate in the VU program, and the program is not means tested. There are only a few upgrades that have eligibility criteria, and these are in place just to ensure that the upgrades are actually saving energy. So why should you participate in VEU? On average, households that undertake energy efficiency upgrades save $110 per year on their energy bills. And as we've heard about earlier, many Victorian homes have windows, doors and vents that don't seal tightly, allowing either hot or cold air to escape. So installing weather sealing prevents air from escaping, which keeps the temperature of your home easier to control and requires less energy to run your heating or cooling to keep you comfortable. So the weather sealing upgrades available through VEU include sealing your doors, your windows, wall vents, chimneys and evaporative cooler vents. So there's a range of options there. The in-home energy monitors allow you to monitor and check your household energy use as it's occurring. So this can help you understand and manage your energy use and reduce your energy costs. Additionally, by changing your conventional shower head for a water-saving one, you can reduce both your water use and your energy costs at the same time. So we'll go to the next page. So this is our webpage. You can access it by Googling VEU for households, or you can type in the URL that we've got listed there in the orange box. We are in the process of upgrading our website, so it may look a little different in the coming weeks, but nothing crazy, not a huge change. So when you scroll down, you'll find a list of available upgrades. So once you click the upgrade that you're interested in, we'll go to the next slide and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is our weather sealing webpage. So each page provides information on the upgrade available, and if you were actually on the webpage and scrolled down, there's plenty of more information on that website. The webpage also includes an estimate of the discount that you can receive through the VU program. So as I highlighted earlier, weather sealing, in-home displays and shower head upgrades are typically free. But this indicative discount is useful for upgrades that have an out-of-pocket cost, like heating and cooling or hot water system upgrades. So once you keep scrolling down on the webpage, you'll find this little section on finding an accredited provider in your area. So under the VU program, the government does not provide the discount for the upgrade directly to you. So to participate in VU, you need to engage an accredited provider, which are private businesses which have been approved to provide discounts under the program. So you can select your region at the top section there, and then you can pick a provider from the list. You can then contact them by phone or by their website to request an upgrade, and they will install an approved product for you and provide the discount directly to you. So when undertaking upgrades that have an out-of-pocket cost, we encourage you to contact a few different accredited providers to get a few quotes to compare, just to ensure you're getting the best deal and installing the right product for your home. Next slide, here we go. So aside from the VU program, the Victorian government has a number of other energy affordability programs. I only work for the VU program, so I can't answer super specific or detailed questions about these programs, but I'll give you a bit of an overview. So as highlighted earlier, we have the Victorian Energy Compare at that URL listed on the slide. So this is the Victorian Government's free, independent and easy to use energy price comparison website, which allows you to find the cheapest electricity or gas plan for your household or your small business. It makes it easy to compare and find your best energy offer. So once you go to the website, all you need to do is answer a few simple questions about your energy usage, and the website will show you the best available offers based on your energy needs, as shown in the image on the slide. 7 out of 10 people can save money by using the Victorian Energy Compare website, with typical annual savings of $110 on energy bills in the first year alone. So to get started using the Victorian Energy Compare site, you need access to a computer and the internet. You also need a recent gas or electricity bill, or both, depending on what you currently use, and some information about your household or small business and how much energy you're using. So we'll go to the next slide. So there are a few other affordability programs. There's the Energy Assistance Program, which provides one-on-one tailored energy support to ensure the participants are connected to retailers' hardship assistance and other relevant government supports. So this program is being delivered in partnership with community partners, including Landcare Victoria and Community Information and Support Victoria. To access the Energy Assistance Program, you either need a Commonwealth Government concession card or be struggling or expecting to struggle to pay your energy bill. So households can call 1800 161 215 Monday to Friday to make an appointment to speak to an energy advocate. And then for further information, you can head to the webpage linked there. So for homes that are reliant on firewood, in addition to receiving a discounted, efficient reverse cycle air conditioner through the VU program, there are a number of other concessions available for homes reliant on firewood. So there's the non-mains energy concession, which pays between $55 and $619 each year for Victorian households that rely on mains energy, including firewood, for heating and cooking. This concession does have some eligibility criteria, which you can find more details about at the URL. There's also the non-mains utility relief grant, which is administered by the Department of Families, Fairness and Housing, which provides up to $650 to Victorians on low incomes who rely on firewood as their only source of fixed heating. And again, for further information, please head to the website. And the last little URL I've added to this page has some additional information and support on concessions for firewood. And then we'll head to my last slide. So we've got a bit of contact information here. You can see we've linked to the web page again, the VU for Households, which has all the information about the upgrades available through the VU program. We also have a phone number and that email address there. So if you have any questions or inquiries, you can contact us directly and I'll get back to you if you send an email to us. And yes, we've also got some information for people with hearing, speech or sight impairments as well. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ella. It's fantastic that everyone can access a range of rebates and discounts through this program. So thank you for all that. So that concludes our presentations. I'd like to thank our 3 fantastic presenters for their time and knowledge today. Before we get to questions, we're just going to put up a quick poll. So that will pop up on your screen for those online shortly. And I'll now hand over back to Josh.
Thanks, Georgie. Yeah, so I'll give people just a moment to answer some of the questions that are in the Teams poll, just to get a sense what you've learned so far. That'll help us. So if you've done that, feel free once you've done that to start putting your questions into the chat. And in a couple of minutes, we'll get moving with our full questions to our presenters. All right. Fantastic. So I think we've got a few more responses on that poll coming in. So while people are just finishing up on their polls, visit some of the questions that we've already gone to. I think there's been an answered question in the chat already. So if those have been following on, and I was following on closely too, because I also have aluminium window seals. Tim has kindly provided some hints to be able to draft proof those windows. So I think that's something I'll be checking out myself. Our aluminium windows are very thin at my house as well.
It looks like Lou might have some questions in the live body.
Oh, we've got some
right,
ready.
Lou?
Perfect. Thanks, Lou.
Save, can you hear me?
Yep.
We're here live from Benalla. So I've got a few questions here around, so how does sealing all the vents in winter affect mold in the house? Essentially, Jason.
Yeah, Jason, if you're happy to.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yes. So yes, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You don't want to seal up every single gap in your house because you can get an increase in moisture, and then you've got to start running dehumidifiers and things like that. That's actually one of the reasons I haven't gone to the extent of sealing all of my windows 100%, because I do like the breathability aspect. In some ways, it's not obviously as efficient. In the most part, you'll never be able to seal all the gaps. So for the most part, it's never going to be a problem. Even if I was to, like I said, seal up all my windows, there's still gaps underneath the skirting boards at floor level. Like, it's just, they're leaky houses. Unless you have a specifically built passive house that has been 100% verified to be free of leaks, and you do a blower door test, in general, you're not going to have a problem. And if you do, you can get dehumidifiers that you can run during the day, and they're quite efficient. Or simply just don't hang your wet washing inside. That's a really bad one if you want to introduce a lot of moisture inside. Hang it in your shed instead.
Thanks, Jason. Good tips if you've got a bit of space in the shed. We've got a question in the chat from Fiona, which asks, what would you recommend for front and back doors that are 50% glass? So is there anyone in our panel, panelists, if you want to keep your video and microphones on so you can easily respond? Anyone want to give a crack at that?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to that. It's actually one of the things I've got to do in the next couple of days. I've got a beautiful back door with a couple of glass panels. It's not 50% glass, but it's probably 30% glass. Bubble wrap is a really simple one. If you cut a bit of bubble wrap, which you can buy from Officeworks, Post Office, all sorts of places, it's cheap as chips. And if you wet it slightly, it'll sort of stick itself to the window. So you're insulating the glass there. If you want something that looks a bit nicer and a bit more permanent, you could go to getting honeycomb or cellular blinds. They're sold at Spotlight. IKEA actually have the best deals on cellular blinds. And they're a double walled insulated blind. And if you have them so they hug the door and come down across the door during the evening, that's a great way to insulate your door.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason. And yeah, definitely on the times where the sun isn't shining through those doors too, by the sounds of it, if you wanted to heat it up. Yeah. Anyone else got any other ideas for that question, or we'll move on to I think maybe another question from Benalla?
I put some questions in the chat, in the Q&A.
Perfect. So we've got a rural Victoria often gets door knockers offering weather sealing. If the weather sealing is improperly installed, can this be reinstalled at no cost? I think that might be a question for you, Ella. If you're happy to speak to that.
Yeah, happy to respond to this one. Yes, if the weather sealing has been improperly installed, wow, I can't form my words anymore, and it was installed under the Victorian Energy Upgrades Program, which is likely if it was from door knocking, you can contact the Essential Services Commission, and they are responsible for administering and regulating the program, and they can help identify the accredited provider who did the installation in the first place, and then chase them down to reinstall the product for you and make sure you're satisfied with the outcome. But yes, so the answer is yes, but unless you recall which installer it was or which provider it was, I'd encourage you to contact the Essential Services Commission, and I'll pop their details in a message in the chat.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And I'll just get to go to our next question. We have another one, overhead ceiling fans that help heat go down. Does that mean adjusting the switch from summer to winter or winter to summer?
So yeah, that should be adjusting it from summer to winter. So ceiling fans rotate anti-clockwise in summer, and then in winter it will switch to clockwise.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Lindsay. Now we've got another one from Benella. Can you apply double glazing to aluminium windows? Maybe that's a practical step if any of our panelists are familiar with that process.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can go through the process of replacing the entire window with a new one that's got double pane, has been double glazed. It's quite an expensive exercise. So that's true double glazing. You could try something that's called secondary glazing, which would be creating a secondary barrier on top of an existing glass pane. It could be putting clear PVC or Perspex piece across the window pane, so you're essentially shielding your internal air from the glass and from transmitting the heat. I'm going to go through a trial process of secondary glazing my windows, the timber ones. So I'm getting a couple of custom made Perspex sheets. They're 1.6 meters high by 800 wide, and I'm literally going to cover my entire timber sash windows to create a secondary glaze. It's kind of not quite like double glazing, but it will have many of the same benefits. So, I mean, if you're a nerd and you want to go down that road, there's plenty of options you can explore. Obviously, covering the window like that makes it difficult to open. So it's something that I'll have to do in winter, is put up these big panels, and then in summer they'll come down so I can open the windows. So yes, in a long-winded explanation, yes, you can. There's several different ways you can do it.
Thanks, Jason. So if that interests you, that is something that you can pursue and make happen. That there's avenues forward. And another question is, this is to you again, Jason. I think people are enjoying your practical experience that you've had in doing things yourself. So hope your mouth isn't getting too dry from all this response. Any tips on influencing family to close doors and zone properly?
I love that one. Are we talking about kids? Because currently an issue. This morning I had several times I was reminding some little person to close the bathroom door because it was left wide open. Yeah, any tips? I don't know. I think, like it was Lindsey said, it becomes a matter of habit. Your parents just drill it into you over and over and over again, and it just becomes the done thing. I think it's all about habits, consistency, just about constant reminders. Obviously the little ones don't really get it, although my little one does get it when you go from inside the warm house into the freezing bathroom. So there is some sort of correlation happening there. But as to what's causing the differences in temperature, I mean, that's a hard one. So it's just nothing other than just being consistent and persistent. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, Jason. Maybe if people are struggling with the kids following, invite some good-natured friends of theirs, and often they will obey the house rules a bit quicker than your own. So maybe they might help some peer influence in a good way.
Good one.
All right. We've got another. This is a question to you, Ella. Is there any other products being added to the Victorian Energy upgrades program?
Yeah, so we're always looking to add new products to the VU program. The one I can talk about publicly at the moment is induction cooktops are being added to the program. These are typically the last appliance for homes to transition from gas to electric when coming off gas. So we are working to introduce those to the program, and they should be available in the second half of this year, hopefully in the coming months. So yes, keep an eye out for that update. But yes, always interested in suggestions and people's ideas as well.
Perfect. So yeah, there's still more to come, and it sounds that there's room for more input for others. If you've got some ideas that you'd love to see initiated to help support your home or those that you know of to become more energy efficient and electrified, might be able to get in touch with DEECA and the VU program guys. Thanks, Ella. Lindsey, we've got a question for you. I mentioned that with the amount of tips that you've had in your presentation, do you have a list of actions that we can assess our house with? So if we wanted to do a bit of a energy audit ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. We've prepared a home energy guide action list. So Lou has some printed at the library there, and if you're online, she'll email them after this as well. I'll email it through.
Perfect. Thanks, Lindsey. So we'll have those be put in the chat and emailed later on after this presentation. Is there any other questions? Just want to make sure I'm not missing any that might be coming in. I might be putting you panelists on the spot, but wanting to check, is there anything that any of the others, as you listen to each other's presentation, that you thought were really good points that you'd like to expound or might be conducive to your own experiences and whether in personal or work life that you delve in?
I'll jump in quickly. I really appreciated the Draught ceiling, going into details of that, because it's always something that I recommend, but I haven't actually done, except for my front door just the other week. I put that bottom seal on, but there are lots of drafts coming in my windows, and I have a big hole as well next to the air conditioner that goes out to the external part of it, which I need to seal up. So it's a good reminder to seal all of those up.
Nice, fantastic. No worries. Well,
yeah, I think
that might...
sorry. I was going to say the reminder to heat yourself, not your space, is a good one. I remember the good old days of my old rental sitting practically on a portable heater to try and keep warm, but then I bought an electric blanket and I spent most of the COVID lockdown snuggled up with that, so I can vouch for it. Definitely is very effective and much cheaper to run.
And thanks for that, Ella.
Josh, we've got a David from Benalla. He was talking about he cleaned 4 air conditioner filters in in split systems, and it made a massive difference to airflow in the houses.
Oh, fantastic. Good to know. So I think that was a tip also shared by Jason, and your air cons. And if you're familiar, it's that front flap lifts up and pull them out and give them a rinse. And I think Lindsey had shared that as well. Great reminder. That's fantastic. So we have another question from someone in the chat saying that they live in the Shepparton area and wants to know who does the energy home visits here. Is there a way that more than that website to find out who might do it, or?
I'm actually, if we're talking about scorecard, I am the assessor for Shepparton. I've done a couple of jobs there already. So yeah, I would be the person if you went on to the scorecard website, and if you put in your postcode, I'm one of the assessors that comes up. If that's what you're asking about.
Yeah, fantastic. So the energy home visits. If that's not quite it, and the person who can ask that question, please clarify. But yeah, you can visit to that scorecard website that was mentioned before, Jason said, and find him on there. Energy home audit. Is there any other questions for our panelists? All right, well, I think we might be ending it there. So we get a bit of an early mark. Really thank everyone for your questions and your time. We'll have some resources for you to take home for those who are in Benalla if you haven't already grabbed them. And for everyone who's come along, we'll be emailing those through to their emails, those who had registered. And if you want to keep in touch with upcoming events and webinars like this one, there'll be details of how you can sign up to the newsletter that will provide those links to those areas. I think, yeah, I think that's everything. Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening, and hope to see you at another webinar in the future. Good luck with your energy saving initiatives. And thanks, Jason. Thanks, Ella. Thanks, Lindsey, for some great tips and tricks, and great Q&A session. And thanks, everyone back at home or in Benalla.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Well done.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.